Tesla's up big today, breaking out into the Cybertruck event exactly as we expected. I closed out my calls today for a 25% profit, $2,000 return. And in this video, we're going to go over exactly why we knew this thing was going to pop. We're going to go over all the unusual flow, and then we're going to finish this trade up by letting you know why I took profits. And I'm going to inform you about the $176 million worth of confirmed puts that came in today going into the close. There's going to be show notes in the description. You guys can go and just get access to these if you want. I'm going to be putting them at the end of all these videos. So let's start. Tesla, this was my position update as of yesterday on the 27th. I said currently holding December 15th, $237.50 calls. Over $165 million in confirmed calls today. Point of control is a key support here, symmetrical triangle with tight price action. So basically we saw big money buying into this consolidated price movement here. You can see this is not how Tesla closed today. We're actually going to go through in a bar replay, but this is what was happening. We had tight price action, and when we know that we're getting a squeeze like this going into a potential catalyst, that release will happen after the catalyst. Normally I wouldn't get into something like this because I'd expect the move to happen after a catalyst such as Cybertruck Day, but when I saw that big money was buying a ton of calls, I decided to enter because I thought that they're probably loading up for a run into the Cybertruck event as opposed to actually just buying contracts before the Cybertruck event happens. So you can see here that we ended up seeing that unusual flow come through. I posted here on Twitter, which you guys should be following. I post all my Tesla trades over there. The link is in the description. And I said that we still have this continued squeeze to happen. But basically, squeeze is occurring. We're getting a resistance level that's moving its way down to a fixed point, in this case, right here at about $235. That was our pivot point. And we're also getting a support level that's moving its way up into this pivot point, which is also setting up at about $235. And this apex area, this zone right here, is usually where the release of this ends up happening. And I will say that I was very surprised that we saw so much money come into this yesterday, which is why I decided to follow. You can see that we had a big bearish order block sitting up here and a liquidity grab at about 245. So my thought was that maybe today we'd push up to 240, and that's why I ended up closing out my trade. So we saw this pullback, the test of support at $232, and then from here, the big push up. We pushed through our weekly open, which was my pivot level. We moved our way up and hit this order block. So it's at this point when we take that order block out, we say to ourselves, are we going to continue to run up into this liquidity area? And if we push through here, our next target is $247. For those of you who do want access to this indicator, it's in our Discord community, which you guys can get access to with the second link in the description. And it's one of our premium indicators from Pinewave. So I highly recommend you go and check that out. This indicator pays for its membership day one, I promise you. As we see price push into that order block, we have to see if price is going to continue to move up. So we see on the second hour a continued run, and this is ultimately where I closed out my position. And you can see right here. I said the reason I'm taking profits is because of this big liquidity zone at PWH pivot point. PWH just means previous week high, basically right up here at about $244. I said a chance of us rejecting here and having a false breakout is huge. I would rather miss a run up to $246, which I think ended up happening anyway, and get the chance to see Tesla reject here, testing $235, so I could enter again long before Cybertruck Day. And now, of course, this did not end up happening. We actually just continued to push up. We tapped that liquidity zone. You can see that we pushed again through that previously week high, and then our second target, which is the big target, was up at $246, which ultimately ended up getting hit day. So this brings us into tomorrow. What do I think is going to end up happening? Because now we're pushed up against this $245 to $246 level, but just as I posted within the Notion doc, we have some bearish flow coming through. We talked about this yesterday, but if you guys want the full breakdown, I highly recommend go to this Notion doc and come in here and click the show notes and read about confirmed flow and what makes it confirmed versus unconfirmed. We put this in a thread that already has 2,000 views because it really is that useful, guys. Go check it out and make sure you're following me over on Twitter. But basically, these confirmed puts are showing that we had $176 million come through confirmed to the downside, meaning that these are not people who are selling cash secured puts. These are people who are actually buying put positions for the next couple of weeks. And earlier I posted the heat map and I talked about some big calls that were coming through on Tesla, specifically these $240 calls expiring next Friday. And I saw some people over on X say, hey, you're now talking about these big puts, but earlier you were talking about these calls, about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And the truth is that these people are probably out of their trade. This contract, had a couple $1 million in it minimum, is now $10 in the money. These contracts are probably up 50, 60, 70%. 1%, and that person's taking profits. Seeing this type of money coming in the put side, while we're also pressed up against this liquidity level, this, in my opinion, is a pretty good chance that we're going to end up rejecting, maybe even testing $240 again. So let's just say that we do reject, we pull back down to 240 bucks. This level here, this will be my entry to go long into Cybertruck day. If that doesn't happen, and if Tesla just really does break right through here, continues to push up, which is, this can definitely happen, continues to push through here and moves our way up to 260 and whatnot, well, then I'll be in a situation where it'll suck, but I still have my long-term position, so I'll still be making some money here. So let's zoom out and look at the daily chart now, because now that we've rallied off of the 50 SMA, we've pushed up into that target range that I've been talking about for a while now, what's going to end up happening? Initially, I was talking about shorting up around $260, but I'm not going to. If we run up into that event for Cybertruck, I'm not shorting the event. I will honestly say to you, as somebody who's been trading as long as I have, I actually have no idea how the event is going to affect the price of the stock. Normally for Tesla, it's going to be a sell the news type of situation, which was my initial plan, but I am not going to be holding puts going into Cybertruck day. I think that there's a good chance we reject. We have a lot of resistance levels here. We have this big block, but here's the deal. If we don't, and if Cybertruck day really pushes us into a greed area, Tesla is going to rip to $280 easily within a couple of weeks. And for $280, our next level is all the way up to about $295 and then $300. So for me, I'm definitely not going to be shorting at this point. I just don't think it's worth it, but we'll see how things end up panning out. Now, as far as the rest of the day, I ended up closing up $6,525. I was 100% accurate today so far, with Tesla being my biggest winner of $2,125. And the market just continued to pump. Just another day of the S&P 500 trying to hold, not really, looking too good here. We're still in a big uptrend. That's the thing you need to understand, but things are starting to look weaker. We're not pushing to higher highs with as much strength as we were before. Everything is looking a little bit weaker. And so I'm not going to be shorting at this point. I definitely don't think it's worth shorting at this moment. But as I'm continuing to play the trend and watching SPY continue to run, I'm just going to continue to play as I am, but with less and less size. I'm not going to be sitting here taking bigger positions as I have been before with all of these gaps to the downside. I'm personally going to be focusing on capital conservation going into the next couple of months, as opposed to massive capital appreciation. I'm already up massively this year, and I don't really need to be giving back anything going into the next couple of months. Now, the last ticker I want to talk about is going to be NVIDIA, because while we mainly talk about Tesla on this channel, I know a lot of you guys are interested in NVIDIA. And if you want to get my take on a lot of other tickers, go follow our other channel, Traders Helping Traders Community. I'm going to be doing an update on Mara there, because I did a video on Mara a couple weeks ago talking about it moving up to 12 bucks, and it hit that to perfection. But let's talk about NVIDIA, because a lot of people have been wanting to get my opinion on potentially shorting this. So the first thing to notice is that we broke the 50 SMA back here, which we talked about for a while. I was saying once this level's broken, this could be the time to short. We pulled all the way back down to this liquidity level, bounced, rejected right on the 50, big bearish order block, and this would have been your time to short all the way down to about 470. So if you're somebody who's shorting, this is my area to start covering your profit, 470 down to $467.50. That's your area to start walking away from the trade in the short term. You're going to see as well on the daily chart that if this level is broken, this pivot level of about 480, we actually have two more short targets on the bigger time frame. One down here at the 50 SMA at 450 bucks, and then the second one all the way down at $410 right at this bullish order block. So I do believe that if 480 is given up, we will see NVIDIA continue to drop down to 450 and about $413. I hope this video helped, guys. If you want access to every single one of my trades, all of our trading bots, which are up over 1,000% this year, absolutely insane. I'm not even bullshitting you. Go check out our Discord community. There's over 12,000 members. You guys get access to all of that, all my trades, all of our premium indicators. I promise you guys, it is more than worth it. Like we've onboarded 300 members in the past week alone. That's the amount of demand that we have for our trades and for our product. And so if you missed the Black Friday sale, sorry, but it is more than worth it for you to enter right now. So start 2024 off right. I'll see you guys over there. Peace.